My name is Michael. So I mostly grew up in South Jordan, Utah. When I first started learning to code, I'm a little bit of a weirdo. I would go and read the documentation for Swift, the programming language. It's like my favorite programming language. Yeah, Swift is great. But I would go read the documentation. I also would go watch the Worldwide Developer Conference videos, like the videos of Apple kind of like saying all their new features of like the code that they released basically. And so that was a little weird. I don't think most people would do that, but that's part of it. Also part of it, I'm just really passionate about it. And I love building things, so I'm always building new things. And so, I wanted to learn more about web development. Or what did I do? I went and made a bunch of websites, right? I wanted to learn more about like desktop, but different ways to do it. So I went and built a bunch of desktop apps. I think that's the biggest way that I've learned is like building a lot of things, especially building things with other people. I think that's super important for the learning, is like building things with other people helps you to figure out things together about like how the best way is to do things. The first thing is when you talk about AI, you'll sometimes hear like like project managers or like, CEOs or different people like that saying like, pretty soon here we're going to get like rid of developers. We'll just be able to like write specifications that are clear enough and like be able to, the AI will generate all the code. And the response to that is someone's like, well, you know what the word is for a specification that's clear enough and like specific enough for what you need? It's called code. That's what code is. That's what it is. And so at the end of the day, like, maybe at some future point, we're able to create some sort of language that is able to create those specifications that are clear enough, but it would still resemble code in a lot of ways. And I think something that people don't always realize when they're talking about like, oh, AI just generated this app for me, is there's a lot of skill, there's a lot of thinking in the way that a developer acts whenever they're like working on a feature. In their mind, what's going on is like all these edge cases. They're thinking of all these different things that are kind of like behind the scenes you wouldn't really think about unless you've done this a lot, right? And so basically that's part of where the skill lies, is understanding how the system works behind the scenes. And so like even if we do create a specifications language that is able to be specific enough, you still need someone that understands what's going on in the system to be able to write the specifications. And so like, no matter what, there's always going to be a place for someone that thinks like a developer and that has that experience with how it works on the back end. Another phrase that I like is this phrase where it says, code is free, as in free puppies. So if you think about a free puppy, you're like, that sounds great. I would love a free puppy, right? And then you get it and you realize you're paying a lot of time, you're paying a lot of effort, you're paying a lot of money for this free puppy, right? And that's how it is for code. I have one of the apps that I published on the macOS App Store for a client. They probably spent, let's say they spent like $8,000 in total, maybe $10,000 for like all of the development costs and like getting it out there. I don't think they've done any like marketing or anything yet for it, but so like you think it'd be free, but it's not. And so like that will always be the case. And on top of that, like once you do get a product out there, then you have to start managing like, support and like people saying, hey, there's this thing that's broken, or hey, I want this feature. And that maintenance cost is where their like real cost is. And it's like, yes, even if like, I think what people are beginning to realize is that the biggest cost never was the code generation. And that's just the fact that code can be generated more quickly makes that much more apparent than it was before. And so that's kind of what we're realizing, is that you still have to be very particular about what you decide to build, and finding product market fit, finding all these different things, doing good marketing, like to get a product out there, right? And so if like, yes, code is free, but it's not, like, you know what I mean? So how I decide what I'm going to work on kind of is based off of my own personal needs, but mainly my personal interests at the time. So a lot of times I'll start a project that seems interesting or fun to me, and then get bored of it and be like, I'm going to move on to the next one. So for me, it's like basically the way I spend my free time is like working on what's interesting to me. And part of how I like make it so that I work on a project till it's done is by either like deciding, okay, I'm going to finish this one. Because that's one thing that a lot of developers struggle with, is like starting projects but not finishing them. So that's something I strive for, is like anytime I start a project, then I finish it, right? And so sometimes I'll have to force myself to finish it. But other times what I'll do is I'll start working on that project with another person. And as soon as I start working on it with someone else and talking to them about it, then they get excited about it. And, once they're, adding code to the repository, adding, features themselves, then I get more excited about it. Then we both get more excited about it. And, that energy feeds off of each other, and that helps you to work towards finishing that project. So I think that's a big part, is like working with other people and making sure that you actually like achieve those goals that you're working towards. I started programming before AI was really a thing. My first app that I released it in, I think, 2017, 2016, something like that. And so yeah, those were all hand coded completely. It's a very different world now. But I also got my first job around then, and then went on a mission, came back, got hired again. So I've been working as a contractor for like 5 years. And the main project that I've worked on since getting home from my mission is like meant to be kind of like the app that missionaries use. It's like a calendar scheduling app. And then since then, I've built a bunch of different things, partially because of the leverage you get when using AI to develop a product, which has been really awesome. So I'll have an idea and then spend, a week or two building it out to see if it's something people are interested in, get a prototype out there, and then kind of get feedback and gauge how interested, people are in it. So I built one product that instead of paying a subscription, you would pay the like API providers directly. So you'd pay like OpenAI directly per like word that you generate, basically. And so it makes it so you still get like all these frontier models without having to pay a $20 subscription. And that one did not get a lot of traction. So I made another thing. So I've just like build things out, see how much traction they get, and kind of move from there on if I want to keep maintaining and growing it bigger or try out a new thing. So I've just built a lot of different things. Rubrics is one of those, which I personally use myself. So even if it doesn't get traction, I'll keep using it. Okay, so if you go to rubrics, that's with an X, AI.app, and you go there and then you just install rubrics. It takes you to the store. So you can also search up on the store and just say add to Chrome. So that is how you get it set up. Okay, so the way it works is that you just load in any assignment page, and you can see here it was pretty quick, which is good, but it went off and figured out what files you need to submit. So this one requires 2 files. So basically the idea is like as you're going through assignments, there's like a lot of times where, like for example in here, there's all these different things that you need to do, and sometimes it can be hard to like remember everything. So what you do is you just do your assignment like normal, and you go ahead and select the files. So there's one of the files, and that's from an old grade, but okay, so you go ahead and select your files, and then they're named different, so you just send it anyway. What it does is it sends off the criteria, so every part of the rubric, and then all of the assignment data for the instructions off to the AI. And what's great about that is like usually what I'll do is I'll go and like copy all of this into, Claude or ChatGPT or whatever, and have it graded, but then it's not formatted in a way that's super good, like meant for the AI, so it can still sometimes miss things. By doing this, we're able to send these like files specifically, and then the actual assignment instructions and everything off to AI, and it's able to make sure that you didn't miss anything. And so that helps it to be more accurate and give you, like much better response. So we can see here it came back with that answer, and there were 3 specific things that I missed. So if we go down to this part of the rubric, then you can see those are the things that I missed, and it's referencing the rubric there. And then you can go through and see different parts of it and why you missed it, and then next steps that you can take. So of course, the like goal of this isn't to like do your homework or anything. The goal is to have an extra check, because you're going to come in here and add your files anyway. So why not have something automatically, check that for you? And what's good about that is then it makes it so that you can update them and make sure that you always are submitting good, completed assignments. And that saves you time, it saves your instructor time. And then as you go through, you can see like how your assignment is improving over time. Other thing is that different teachers sometimes grade differently. So you can change, one teacher to be more lenient or another to be more strict. And then you can come in here and see all of your different assignments that have been graded and like how you did on those different assignments. And then you can choose between Google, Gemini, ChatGPT, or Anthropic, depending on which model you prefer, and then change your report format and stuff. So it's a fairly simple, idea, but it's really great for just like, double checking your work before you submit it. So that's what rubrics is.